Welcome to another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Gamache. Today we are looking at the Richmond Artifex Aogami or Blue No. 2 Gyuto 240mm knife. Mark has kind of recently brought out this Artifex line in some alternative steels other than the AEBL that's been the standard for a long time. So this one is a mono steel Aogami or Blue Paper No. 2 Hitachi reactive carbon steel. It's heat treat around 60, so it's not super hard for a little forgiveness, and it's also mono steel, so it's not a lot of those available. So this is a one steel, one material. There is no layer or cladding of any kind on it. And the weight on this knife, it's a fairly substantial knife, so with a fairly substantial handle. So the weight on it's about 6.8 ounces, 194 grams. The blade length is 248 on the edge, so this is almost a 250, about 9 3/4, and the overall length is about 14.5 inches. The spine thickness coming out of the handle is about 2.5 millimeters, and one of the cool things about this knife is it's got basically a continuous distal taper all the way down. I'll show you a close-up, but that tip gets really thin. So it's pretty stiff, quite stiff from the back half of the blade, and then it's got a fair amount of flex towards the front of the blade. So kind of almost a Masamoto KS style here in that respect, where you've got a little bit of beef on the spine at the heel area, and then it thins out nicely towards the tip. The blade height is 46.5 millimeters, so not especially tall. And the profile we'll get a look at, though, it's kind of a classic French-style profile where you've got a fairly good flat spot towards, in fact, a really nice flat spot towards the heel. The handles looks to me like a black linen micarta handle, which is really kind of bulletproof. This handle has almost a wah-type feel to it. It's a little bit more of a stick style. It is a full-tang knife, but it doesn't have the kind of the classic Coke bottle kind of feel of some of the Western handles. So if you like wah handles, you should probably be pretty comfortable with this. You got a little bit of a bevel here on each side as you kind of flow for a pinch grip. So let's take a close-up look. Of course, it's a machine finished blade. And you can see coming out of the handle, it flows into the grind of the knife. You've got the Artifex logo there. This particular one doesn't say what kind of steel it is, but this is their Aogami No. 2. The knife convexes nicely down from the spine into the edge. The out-of-the-box edge on these was pretty good. I'll give it a 5 or 6 out of 10. I went ahead and sharpened it up because I wanted to see what the Aogami was like on this knife, and it really felt great on the stones. This thing's really sharp, let me tell you. This guy is a sharp knife right now, and it took to the stones really nicely and took a great edge. So, hey, it's Blue No. 2. It's going to sharpen great. The fit and finish is really nicely done on the spine, the back of the blade, the choil, ready to go out of the box in that respect. Here's your handle. These are not super thin behind the edge. Mark tends to keep the grind a little bit less aggressive at the edge for a pro environment, especially line cooks and such, and people that maybe aren't used to a really thin at the edge knife. The good thing about that is you get some robust character to the blade in terms of durability, but you also can more aggressively thin out at the edge and gain some performance. So if you want to do so, you can take these shoulders where the edge is and thin the knife down at a really low angle and kind of contour that edge more gracefully and more gently into the very edge from the back part of the blade, and you can get some pretty good gains in performance. Of course, you can thin out the entire blade if you want to, but again, I've done some of these where I've thinned out quite aggressively right at the edge there, knocked off that bevel, and it makes pretty big difference in performance. So you've got a lot of potential here to upgrade your performance. Again, great thinness at the tip. You can see how thin that baby gets. It just has a continuous distal taper. Let's take a look at it on the cutting board. One of the great things about this knife is the flat type profile of it. So you've got a little bit of belly at the tip here, so you can get fairly high on this, but at the same time, you've got a nice flat section. You roll right into a big old flat at the heel. So that flat at the heel is half the blade almost, And so this knife will work for a variety of techniques, from chopping with the back half of the blade to some glide push pulp cutting to actually a fair amount of rocking. And again, so you kind of got an interesting mix of two different worlds here in the profile, as well as that nice distal taper. So here's a knife that's got, great steel. It'll take a nice patina, sharpens up awesome, and hold an edge nicely. If you want to increase the performance, you can knock down the bevels a little bit at the edge and knock those shoulders off, and definitely increase the performance if you want to out of the box. So there you have a good rendition of the classic Artifex. This is the Richmond Artifex Aogami No. 2, a Gyuto 240mm knife.